About a year ago, my wife and I were just getting ready to have our first kid, and I wanted to do something kind of special, so I decided that I would build our very own changing table. Now, I figured that doing this would probably save us a little bit of money over buying one, but also that it would just be a fun project and kind of a cool keepsake to keep and maybe give to our son when he is an adult and maybe has his own kids. But after building the changing table, I kind of neglected actually building drawers for it. So it's been about a year now, and our son is almost 1 year old, and it still has no drawers. So follow along, because today I'm going to build a couple of drawers for the changing table. After measuring the dimensions that I need for my drawers, I'm going to lay out my pieces on my plywood and then rough cut each piece out, leaving a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch around all the cut edges. I'm doing this because making cuts with my skill saw is not going to be as accurate as using my miter saw or my table saw, so I'm going to rough cut out with my skill saw and then take these pieces back to my miter saw and my table saw to do the exact cuts. I am using my hand saw here to cut the last inch or two of each piece because I did not want to overcut with my skill saw in order to get it to cut all the way through the board. I was trying to save as much of my plywood as I could and be as efficient as I could with each cut, and overcutting would have left some cut marks on the extra board. Now that my boards are rough cut, I need to go and square one end on each board. I can then use this end to measure out the lengths I need to cut for each piece. Before cutting my boards to the exact width, I first need to run them through and make sure I have one straight side. Once I have a straight side to go off of, I will then set my fence to the appropriate width from the blade, and I will run all the boards through again, cutting the opposite side from the side I just straightened. I'm going to run all my boards through without making any adjustments to my table saw. That way all of my sides and ends will be exactly the same width. Now that all my pieces are cut to their exact width and exact lengths, I can start to assemble the drawer. First, I'm going to lay out my pieces and just put in some brad nails to help hold them together before I put in screws. Now, I messed up here and should have had the front and back of the drawer run the full length and had the side panels be shorter. That way, after putting in the screws would be hidden at the back of the drawer and behind the faceplate of the drawer. Since I did it this way, I'm going to have screws that will be visible from the sides of the drawers when the drawers are open. Either way you decide to do it, once you have the brad nails in holding all the pieces together, you can go back and pre-drill the holes for your screws. I had a little bit of tear out when doing this, and we'll have to go back later on and fix some spots with some wood putty. For my center screw holes on the ends, I went ahead and marked up an even distance from both sides from the bottom. This will make my screws look nice and even. I'm now going to chamfer all of my screw holes so that my screw heads will sit flush with the outside. Once I'm done with the chamfering, I'm going to go back and I'm going to put in all my screws. It's now time to install the bottom of the drawer, but first, I'm going to check and make sure all my corners are square. I'm then going to lay the bottom on the side pieces, flush up one end, and then put in a couple of brad nails to hold it in place. I'm then going to flip the drawer around and check square one more time before putting in the brad nails on this end. Finally, I'm going to flip the drawer over and check square one more time because I really want to make sure this thing comes out square. Now that I've checked square what seems like a dozen times, I'm going to flip the drawer over and I'm going to mark out the screw locations on the bottom panel. Once it's all marked out, I'm going to pre-drill my holes, chamfer them, and then put in my screws. I used plywood for my build, so I have some voids on the edges that I need to fill in with wood putty before I move any further. Once the wood putty is dried, I'm going to go ahead and sand all of the edges and all of the seams. We are now ready to mount our drawers. I'm going to mark a line halfway between the top and bottom of where our drawer is going to go, and then I'm going to use my straight edge to mark the line all the way across. I'm going to use this line to orient my slider. I'm going to mark out where I want my screws, pre-drill the holes, and then put a couple screws in to hold each slider in place. You want each slider, when compressed, to be flush with the outside edge of the cubby that the drawer is going to go inside of. Now I'm just going to repeat the process on the other side. Going to mark out my line to orient my slider, mark my holes, pre-drill, and then put in some screws. With the sliders installed on both sides, I'm going to place the drawer on top of some spacers, and then pull the drawer forward a little bit, and adjust the end of the slider with the end of the drawer. I'm going to put my front screw in the screw slot that allows for vertical adjustment up and down. This will allow me to loosen the screws and move the front of the drawer up or down to get better alignment later on. I will then slide the drawer forward and place a second screw in the middle of the drawer. This screw will also go in the vertical slot that will allow for adjustment. Repeat these steps for both sides of the drawer. With the drawer fully mounted, I want to roll it in and out to see how easily it rolls and to see if I need to make any adjustments. Once you're happy with how your drawers are mounted, go ahead and measure out the length and height for the faceboards for your drawers. I want mine to overlap about 1/8 of an inch over the frame. Using those measurements, I'm going to cut out my faceboards. For these boards, I'm going to use solid wood and not plywood. Go ahead and sand your faceboards before moving any further. Make sure that you also sand your edges to remove any saw marks. Once finished, grab your measuring tape and pencil. We are going to mark out the center of each faceboard. I'm going to use my square to draw a line parallel with the edge down the center of my board. Before marking out where I need to drill holes in order to mount the handle, I need to figure out how wide to make the holes. For my handle, it's going to be 3 inches or 1.5 inches on each side from the center of the board. Back at the changing table, I'm going to place my faceboard over the rest of my drawer and line it up so that my reveal is even all the way around. Once even, I'm going to tighten the screws. I need to repeat this process for my bottom drawer, and to make it a little easier, I'm going to use this shim to give me spacing in between the top and bottom drawer. The reason for mounting the face boards like this is that we can make sure that they are the exact size we want them to be, and that we are getting the reveal we want all the way around before we router the edges. So, if you're happy with the reveal and the size, we can go ahead and remove them and router the edges. I'm going to do an 1/8 inch round over on the back edge of these face boards, and on the front edge, I'm going to use an 1/8 inch coven bead router bit to match the rest of my changing table. With the edges routed, I'm going to reattach the faceboards to the drawers using the handles and bolts that come with them. I used a screwdriver to tighten these because I did not want to over tighten them, but if you would like, you could also use a drill or impact driver. Make sure to check your reveal again after installing the handles. If you are happy with how everything looks, go ahead and place a couple of screws on each side to help secure the faceboard to the rest of the drawer. This will also keep the faceboard from being able to twist or rotate anymore. With that, your drawers will be completely assembled. If you want to paint your drawers, go ahead and remove all the hardware and do that now. Once dry, we will reattach our hardware. Once you're done with that, go ahead and slide your drawers back into the rollers, and they are all done. Here's what my changing table looked like before the drawers and after the drawers have been built and installed. Now, I just need to clean up all the baby clothes. Alright guys, I really hope you enjoyed today's video because I had a lot of fun making it. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe and leave a comment down below letting me know which part of the build was your favorite. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.